Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you again. It's great to be learning with you. Our presentation today is entitled On the Laws of Life 13, the Law of Resistance. Often we wonder why nature seems to veil its laws and principles, and life seems so circuitous and cryptic in its meaning. The knowledge and application of the law of resistance gives a whole new perspective on these matters. Our dedication, sincerity, worthiness, and preparedness are constantly tested through this law. In this manner, we can mature and be appreciative and responsible when, in cosmic attunement, the veil lifts. We'll continue to explore today then Rosicrucian laws and principles and their application for self-mastery and service, in particular, the law of resistance. To prepare ourselves for the presentation and our meditation, I wanted to share with you a most remarkable image and performance. I think you'll see now before you a very intriguing figure. She's known as the little girl giant. You can see the sunlight on her face. She's looking in the distance, searching. She's actually a huge marionette. It takes about 24 puppeteers to operate her. Here's another image of her. You'll see the various figures around her. The puppeteers are known as Lilliputians, after the characters in Gulliver Travels novel by Jonathan Swift. There's a very poignant story about a 10-year-old girl named May McMurray, who in 1912 wrote a letter to her father, William, who was a bedroom steward who worked on the ship, the Titanic, and did not survive a mortal way when it sunk. The letter did not arrive until after the Titanic sailed, so it was returned to the sender and eventually made its way on display at the Liverpool's Maritime Museum. And the Royal Deluxe Street Theatre, France, its artistic director, Jean-Luc Colt, took this as an inspiration, forming this story. It's referred to as the Sea Odyssey, the Giant Spectacular, with street theatre and puppetry held in 2012 in Liverpool, England. There was approximately 800,000 people came out over the 3-day event. And the giants covered a distance of about 23 miles, 37 kilometers through the streets of Liverpool. You can start to get a sense of the tremendous draw of humanity of all ages. In a way, we see here as Rosicrucians an application of the law of suggestion. Well, the figure takes on a life of its own and a tremendous attraction, and we're highly intrigued. And it's a story of reuniting because the giantess or little girl giant's uncle, he's a diver and he dove down where the wreck of the Titanic was. He was said to have found the letter as if it had been delivered in this story. And then he would take back the news, what happened to the Titanic, to his niece. When he came to Liverpool, he would set out in search of her. And the little giant girl, she also wakes up in a park in this event in Liverpool, and she starts to search also for her uncle. In a way, it's a metaphor of our great searching and reunite with our true nature in our own lives. She has a scooter. She goes through the rain in her rain jacket. You see the crane that the Lilliputians are working to keep her movement. We see the applied here, the law of resistance to the various pulley systems. There's the inertia to resist movement that is applied throughout puppetry and with marionettes and their strings. I know on occasion too, there's the powerful metaphor of the marionette or the puppet. I remember an earlier Amor advertisement that are we puppets in our own lives? Are we truly following the dictates of our deepest part of our nature, or are we just following customs and actions? In a way, the puppet is a very strong metaphor for that. I know for some of you, it is often mentioned to us that when we see various images, often it will remind us of something we remember from our distant past. If we remember being involved with puppets or being in a particular place, it may struck us, such as Liverpool. You get here now an even greater sense of the all the people are drawn to come and see the little girl giant. Royal Deluxe is performed throughout the world. There's been many performances done in Africa. There's been ones that were done in Germany. I'm showing you slides or images from Liverpool and also from other parts of Europe. Here she is seeking out her uncle. Here is the diver coming up in the earlier diving suit. He's going to rise up and find her in Liverpool or whatever city they're in at the time. You get here again a sense of the tremendous crowds gathering and fascinated to see the figure as if alive. It takes 31 Lilliputians or puppeteers as well as this large crane to operate the Uncle Giant. You get a sense too here of him looking at one of the Lilliputians with their special harnesses on. In a way, the figure comes alive for us, the way they've done it so poignantly. Also, in some of the performances of this, it was done as a Sea Odyssey Giant Spectacular in 2012 in Liverpool, where there was estimated 800,000 people over the 3-day event. Later, it was done 2 years later again in Liverpool, entitled Memories of August 1914, where there's an estimated 1.5 million came out to the 5-day event. Here, the little boy giant helps the little girl giant to find her uncle. There's also Zolo the dog, who's a giant as well. They move through the city and finally there's the reuniting. It's a very touching scene of the two giants together here. Here's a performance in Germany where they're reunited. She's asleep in his lap. And ultimately in the performance here in Liverpool, they go back out into the water towards the ocean, and they're reunited. Here they are with their dog Zolo, and we have that way great story of humanity, the searching through all our trials and struggles and joys and happiness to that deep sense of reunion to our true nature and that deep sense of fully growing up as a human being, that direct experience of God, which is mysticism, the full maturation and evolvement into what Rosicrucians call the rose quartz state. The various stories of our lives, in a way, help us remind us, clothe these impressions to the outer mind, to have that deeper sense of what the inner self is always working to tell us. With this in mind and this inspiring image and this reunion, let us perform our own reunion in meditation now, or in a way, meditation is an act of union and reunion. I invite you at this time, taking in the inspiring scene and story of the reuniting of the little girl giant and her uncle, just as our inner self reunites with our outer self and with the entirety of creation and all of existence. You may wish now to close your eyes. We'll begin our meditation period. Help us prepare us further for our presentation and discussion. Are you seated in your chair or lying down, or however you're situated? You'll find it helpful to have your spine straight so you can breathe in an unencumbered form, whether it's vertical or horizontal or otherwise. And just take some deep neutral breaths. You're holding the inhalation, you're holding the exhalation. Just enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath. Incoming of the breath, the outgoing of the breath is a wave action. It's a vibration. It's all part of the great Rosicrucians referred to as the great cosmic keyboard. So we grow and learn in our weekly studies in the Rosicrucian order, all the exercises and the ways of applying them in our life. In a way, we become great pianists, play all the octaves, cosmic keyboard, whatever is called for in the particular situation. Inspired by this metaphor, and all the laws and principles encompassed in the cosmic keyboard, let us continue our meditation. The incoming and outgoing of the breath. I invite you to extend your exhalation to intensify the stimulation of the vagus nerve. Important part of our nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. And the vagus nerve is automatically stimulated by extending our outgoing breath. There's the wondrous action of the relaxation response. We become calmer, calmness that is necessary to heal. Our body functions at its best when we're calm. Our mood is boosted. Our heart slows up, it's working more efficiently. We move towards heart rate optimal range. That is a balancing of the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous systems. Help us move towards a state of enlightenment. When we're calm, you can think clearly. You can remember better. Move into an integrated state, referred to by psychologists. Move towards what Rosicrucians referred to as a profound state of peace, peace profound. All this and more wondrous actions take place within the holy temple that is our body and within our mind and our overarching spiritual nature. With the incoming of the breath, you may wish to spiritualize the action. Think of the rise of the master within, the divine within. In this, we see a very simple meditation technique, but a highly effective one. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the discipline of the breath. Know that as we concentrate on the breath, we strengthen our attentional control. We move deeper and deeper into our spiritual state and nature. Now, there can be a certain amount of resistance you may experience to do meditation now and regularly. But as reminded on the great value of meditation, that great healing effect it has for us, it can help spur us to meditate. Also, with a certain persistence in each meditation session, we'll find that it becomes quite enriching, quite enjoyable. And we may even not even wish to stop our formal period of meditation. It feels so ennobling and healing. Meditation is a profound act of non-avoidance. In a way, we're being more and more fully ourselves when we do it. And we build up what you could call a mindfulness meditation momentum the rest of our day. Each period of meditation has a cumulative effect over our lifetime, transforming our brain and how it works in a healthy way, but also making it easier for us to make contact with the divine within, our true guide in life. Become more and more identified with the divine within, the master within. They're all central actions to the mastery of life and mysticism. Now, fratres and sorors and participants, let us continue our meditation period now by applying instructions in the Rosicrucian meditation booklet entitled Liber 777. We'll give you a resource list towards the end of the presentation. The links to the booklet Liber 777. And purified ourselves with this discipline of the breath. Let us perform another act of the law of purification, following invocation. I invite now to you to say with me. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities, mind and body. I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now, fratres and sorors and participants, let us use all our inner psychic capacity and imaginative ability to picture ourselves rising up from wherever we're situated, up from our room or office, over our home or dwelling, building, seeing our neighborhood below, system and order of the streets, all the action and life going on there. Let us rise up faster and faster over our city or geographic area, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent, going faster and faster. Using great inner spiritual force to rise. See below our province or state, our great nation or country. See below the seashores or the lake shores, the mountains, the hills, the farmers' fields, whatever landforms are applicable to your great nation or country, great weather systems. Let's continue to rise up and see our continent and even our hemisphere, the north or the south. Now even the entire globe of the earth, beautiful blue jewel rotating about its axis. Then let us look up, going faster and faster, moving way beyond the speed of light now, seeing the great fiery ball of the sun, planets revolving about their elliptical orbits. Let's continue to rise up higher and higher, plus myriad stars, stellar phenomena, the pulsars, the quasars, the supernova, the asteroids, rogue planets, black holes helping balance the universe. It's passed by myriad stars and nebula, comets, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent, transcending space and time now. Since the large structure of our local galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, its great spiraling arm, that we exit from now and look back at the wondrous structure of the galaxy. Sense it rotating in its great spiral arms on its central axis. Look up and see other galaxies, some in spiraling formation, some in other structures. Let's continue to rise up higher and higher, taking in the vastness of the universe. See myriad stars and galaxies and even clusters of galaxies. Now even superclusters of galaxies, which are clusters of galaxies. Take in all the great range of the vibrations in the octave of the cosmic keyboard, both of physical and psychic nature. The great music, inspiring artists and musicians on earth. The harmony of the spheres, the divine music of the cosmos. Sense now too how the cosmos itself is revolving about a great cosmic axis. Stupendous action and motion, harmony and order. You sense what the Rosicrucians referred to as the cosmic. It is the universal intelligence back of the cosmos, imbued in every cell in our bodies, the holy temple. The cosmic refers to all natural and spiritual laws that we apply now and see about us in operation. Just continue to rise up higher and higher, faster and faster towards the midpoint of the cosmic axis. By the law of correspondence, striders and soarers and participants, as we go higher and higher into the cosmos, towards its very center, we go deeper and deeper within ourselves to our very center, as above, so below. And as you come towards the midpoint, the cosmic axis, slow up there. Let us dwell there a while, taking in stupendous motions and actions, all the octaves of the cosmic keyboard, the divine music, inspired and uplifted. Let us further imply the instructions of the booklet, Liber 777, picturing our sacred space there. Fill in the sights and sounds, all the psychic and physical impressions. Inspiring sacred space, maybe an inspiring temple on earth, inspiring place in nature, the very view all about you of the center of the cosmos. May wish to picture their seekers with us today, their seekers throughout the cosmos, the visible and invisible masters, Grand Lodge officers and Grand Masters of our order, Imperator of the order, may be conducting special sacred convocation while we dwell at the heights of the celestial sanctum. Just as we felt a degree of exhilaration, the rising up to the heights of the celestial sanctum, let's now feel a degree of inner exhilaration as we fill in and picture our sacred space, our celestial sanctum. And when you're ready, riders and soarers participants, just release your visualization of your celestial sanctum in through the subconscious mind to the cosmic mind. Let us dwell for a while, applying the law of silence and quietude now. Just increasingly surrender to the divine within, master within. In other words, be receptive to the higher spiritual forces of the cosmic. Let us continue our period of meditation with another spiritual operation of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amway. I invite you now to join with Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace of the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order Amway. Let us radiate love and well-being to all those who have petitioned Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order for guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those who have petitioned Rosicrucian affiliate bodies for guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those we know who are in need of guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of guidance and healing. To start the flow of the love and well-being, you may wish to picture in the height of some high mountaintop or hill, the vast view or some deeply loving experience you've had that suggests tremendous power and strength of love, or some cosmic communion you've had. Relive that experience now to help kindle the inner spiritual fire and then radiate the love and well-being like a great spotlight or floodlight or flow from a fountain, a great bursts of light from a supernova to all those in need. Graciously surrender the divine within as you do this, for it knows how this is done. You may feel a certain degree of exhilaration as the love and well-being flows out from your heart and mind. As it flows, feel the cosmic attunement increasing. I think you'll find at a certain point, you no longer need to make any conscious effort for the flow to continue. As it speeds up and you know that its wondrous actions are helping enliven healing forces within all those in need. When that occurs, just let the flow continue. Increasingly surrender to the divine within. Riders and sorors and participants will soon formally close this period of the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the work of the Council of Solace of the Grand Lodge of Rosicrucian Order Amway. But we'll continue our meditation period a while longer. To close this period of sending of metaphysical aid, I invite you to say with me now, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done, so mote it be. Let's continue to dwell the heights of the celestial sanctum. The radiations of love and well-being continuing. It's a way of life. As we dwell, peace profound, the center of the cosmos, the center of our being. Soon we'll begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum. Enriched and ennobled this period of cosmic attunement. To be more fully ourselves and one with the one. This time you may wish to apply the law of gratitude, express our thanks to all those who've taught us well, all who've loved us well, all have sacrificed on our behalf. To the Rosicrucian order, for officers and Grand Lodge officers and the Imperator. It's a wonderful opportunity to be Rosicrucian students, know of the Rosicrucians, the way of self-mastery. Now, fratres and sorors and participants, let us begin our descent from the heights of celestial sanctum, moving with tremendous speed way beyond the speed of light, enjoying the exhilaration of the descent. That's the superclusters of galaxies, clusters of galaxies, the galaxies themselves, myriad stars, stellar phenomena, pulsars of the quasars, supernovae, the black holes, and balance the universe. Sensing again the great divine music, the harmony of the spheres, the great work of all the octaves, cosmic keyboard, and all natural and spiritual laws within us and around us in operation. And we see in the distance the great spiraling arms, the Milky Way galaxy, our home. Let us plunge into it, our local arm, move past the myriad stars, comets, and rogue planets and asteroids, nebulae, and see in distance the beautiful elliptical orbits of the planets, the solar system, our home. Great fiery ball of the sun, beautiful blue jewel of the earth. As we come back to the hemisphere where we left off, the continent, our great country or nation, our province or state, our city or local geographic area. Let us say again another prayer and invocation before we formally close this period of cosmic attunement. I invite you to say with me. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. Let us continue to ascend on our neighborhood, the dwelling, home or building where we left off, room or office where we were, how we were situated. And when you're ready, fratres and sorors participants, I invite you to stretch and open your eyes, and we'll continue the work and worship of the Rosicrucian order and work today and always. Feeling reborn, rejuvenated, reintegrated, all of more fully ourselves, the outer self working with the inner self. Thank you, everyone. Great to be sharing with you. Now, by continue our presentation, I want to say some more things about resistance and the law of resistance. It's great value to us. We work the holy temple of our body, houses the master within. And we work in the great laboratorium that is the cosmos around us. Now, resistance takes many forms. And we'll apply what can be referred to as the law of analogy to see how these various manifestations in the great laboratorium of the cosmos apply to the immediate environment of our lives, as well as the work and actions of the divine within the temple of the holy temple of the master within. You'll see before you now the light bulb. One of the resources I'm going to give to you is an article that appears in the Master of the Rose Cross book about Dr. H. Spencer Lewis and having many of his writings. And one of the articles written by Dr. H. Spencer Lewis, past imperator, is entitled Judases. And in it, he mentions the importance of the law of resistance. For example, we use the law of resistance in electronics, electrical engineering, and physics that I know many of you work in and are very well versed in. In fact, along with past imperator H. Spencer Lewis, he encouraged us in many ways to be aware of the laws of electronics, electricity, because they have many analogical or analogous actions in our own lives. For example, when we attune with the cosmic, in a way we're applying ideas of similar to the attunement of a radio with different levels of frequency of the cosmos in the radio channel, in the case of a radio. But also, as past imperator H. Spencer Lewis points out, that light bulbs involve resistance, because in their filament inside the glass tube, there's a resistance of the flow or the current of electricity. And that causes the filament to heat up and even proper materials to glow and shine forth. Here, for example, you see before us an early carbon and rod filament of incandescent electric lamps that were made by the English chemist Joseph Swan around 1878, 1879. Now, before and during the work of the renowned inventor Thomas Edison in the United States, people were at work on electric light bulbs, which Edison helped these extensive experiments move towards something that could be more widely made commercial and perfected with his work and later. We also find the law of resistance in a variety of ways. If you have an electric stove and oven, there's another wonderful application for cooking our food. We see before us now an electric diagram with I for the current, R for the resistance, and V for the voltage, and over the positive electric charge. This could be like, for example, over the filament of a light bulb, coil for heating on top of a stove, or some other form of resistor is used. Now, voltage times resistance and current is an equality, and hence we find then that current is voltage divided by resistance, or the degree of resistance, and resistance is voltage divided by the current. All these things are very helpful knowledge as an analogous way in our own life. For example, in our own lives, at times we may feel that there's a lot of resistance, that things aren't happening as quickly as we'd like to have them. And that can be a matter of us maturing, which I'll elaborate in many ways. And we may think that life is putting up a lot of resistance. It seems so circuitous. It seems like we have to do these winding and twists in our life. Why don't things happen more directly? I know that a Jungian psychologist once mentioned that if we keep track of our dreams, in a way, they're like these individual patterns that you'll see here that I was showing from a great artistic work from the early medieval period. Sometimes also not only learn what we learn from our dreams, but our experiences. Or why did we have to have all those twisting things happen in our lives and meet those people and learn of those lessons of learning that we may ultimately find life embracing? Why did I have to experience those things? And we'll find over time, is there a system and order to it, or does it just seem to be happen chance? We may wonder. These various circumstances of our life, like these various images I'm showing you there, twist. It's hard to get a sense of their meaning and purpose and what all do they add up to. various parts of our lives over years and decades in the course of the day. When we put them all together, which is what our Rosicrucian lessons help us to do on a weekly basis, we see that actually they start to fit together. We start to have make more and more sense. Just like the Jungian psychologists that talked about the great diagram that I'm about to show you, they're pieced together different segments and lessons in our life. So too, in this Sanctuary of Self book by Pastor Imperator Ralph Lewis, he talks about our mystical experiences are a bit like seeing a film. He was referring to days when there was a series of images were shown. Each mystical experience takes up with the last frame where we left off. And there's a great system and order that is the movie itself and its story and plot line. Just like here we see before us the great cross or design that's associated with the Gospel of Matthew and the Lindisfarne Gospels. That's part of the British Library. All the twists and turns form this wondrous shape. See the underlying unity in it. Indeed, as we grow and mature and come to know more of the Rosicrucian laws and principles of life, we see by the law of analogy here, all the underlying geometry and action. There's a tremendous system and order. You see within ourselves and throughout the cosmos, there's a relatively few laws to give this great diversity of action. Another analogy with all the things that are going on in our lives is that of the labyrinth. And I know we've talked about it on occasion with our department instruction teleconferences. Here I show you in a diagrammatic or diagram form, a labyrinth associated with Rheims Cathedral. And you'll see in a way it has a visual optic effect. It seems to be alive with pulsating energy. In a way that's an illusion, but it's also the way that our sense impressions take in vibrations. You notice there's an entry point here. When one walks a labyrinth, whether it be at Rosicrucian Park or Chartres Cathedral and so forth, when you get in there in movement, you start to see, where are we all going? I think I'm going to the center. But there's actually certain keys or laws and principles about how labyrinths are constructed that'll help us in this. For example, you notice in this diagram here, I've taken out where the twists and turns are. They've formed pattern on the 4 directions to form a cross. And we see actually, taking out the twists and turns, we have concentric octagons. We actually, if you take the individual lines, there's 12 of them. You take the pass between, there's 11 of them. And like with the Rheims labyrinth, there's been the octagonal pods that still discontinue the flow of the concentric octagons. Now, one of the keys in how you move through a labyrinth, whether it be at Amiens or Rheims or Chartres also, is where are the twists and turns placed. In fact, if you know where some of them are, you can actually predict where the others are if you have enough of them. And let me show this to you. You'll see here by the green line segments, which close and then open where the twists and turns are. If we do that, we can actually find, we know where the openings have an entrance, how the central entrance will need to work on this labyrinth here. By analogy as well, if we just know the upper half here, including across the lines with the line segments here, we can figure out what has to happen here. Or if we know the left half here, including the vertical line and the actions here, we know that we can figure out that is here. That means that if we now come back to our labyrinth, in the way we're pictured here with our candle, that we can see when we go and walk in the labyrinth and all these twists and turns and we go get in close and move out, if we know, if we see, observe with the twists and turns or these line segments are, we know where we're going. We know what the pattern's going to be. You notice here how there's a closing. Whoops, let me back up. Sorry, just a moment. There's a closing, 2 closing here and open, 2 closing here and open, 2 closing here and open, 2 closing here. Similar, there's a similar action here, but an opening, 2 closing, opening, 2 closing, 2 openings, 2 closing, opening. There's a similar pattern that goes around the labyrinth that helps with its intricate flow. And similarly with this labyrinth, at a certain point, you come in close to it and then you go way back before you ultimately come back in. And often that's the way in our lives. We may have the illumination experience that takes us in close to the center or goal. Then we seem to be thrown back out, but we come back through the obscure night and come back in with the mystical union phase. Similarly, this is how the law of resistance operates in our lives. You know, we also find a very interesting concept associated with inert resistance, both in physics and in the general use of the English language, and that is inertia. And by inertia, we mean resistance to movement or change into an existing movement. And befittingly, it's based on the work of a traditional Rosicrucian, Isaac Newton, in his first law of motion, also known as the principle of inertia. So too in our own life, we may be sluggish to change or sluggish to do our lessons or to do our meditation periods or to embrace important lessons that we need. You see, an essential part of our life is learning lessons. So it behooves us daily to be on the lookout for them, just as we move through the labyrinth of life and come sense its deep center, which is always within us. So too, we have to be careful that we're not resisting lessons. But if we do resist lessons, one thing wonderful happens. We have a crisis in our life. It allows us to have a purifying breakthrough and embrace life. And we learn an even important lesson, not to ignore the lessons. Our conscience is always there as inner guide to know, to act and learn. And practicing meditation daily helps us to be more sensitive. Also, I can mention another concept that often comes to mind with the law of resistance is that of friction, which we both use in physics, engineering, but also as a general term in life as well. And friction is that force that resists relative motion. It could be of solids, it could be of fluids, sliding against each other. And friction can have various wonderful applications because it can lead to thermal energy being created. It can also be used to keep things in place. We can also experience friction from other people or situations or ourselves that allow us heat up the situation to help like an alchemical transformation, where we learn to use that friction to transmute the situation, to learn and grow. We find resistance is also used in a variety of ways. I'll take down our slide now. That I know many of you are quite active in exercises, and one form of exercise, the physical nature, is resistance training. It can also be known by other names, such as strength training or weight training, where we apply gravity or counteracting forces, such as through isometrics. And again, that in a very simple way is another example of how valuable resistance is to us in our lives. Just as past imperator Spencer Lewis mentions to us in his article on Judases. Now, we can also think about, we have a system of resistance within our holy temple. Part of that is the immune system. In fact, meditation, our well-being boosts our immune system. It allows us to be resistant to diseases. Having regular sleep, meditation, as I mentioned, diet, exercises, living conditions, and environment that are harmonious, and good mental attitudes all allow us to be resistant to diseases, to have a robust health. Also, we think about resistance as to resist temptation. Part of being a mystic is developing the virtues. And at various times, our outer nature will be tempted. Talked earlier this month about the dweller of the threshold, who's a symbolic tempter that we have, and is a certain form of consciousness within us that allows us to experience the law of resistance and experience temptation, to purify ourselves and develop the virtues and have that strong foundation, to have the purity to take the cosmic consciousness even more within our minds and body, and fully live out the action of the master within. Also, Sometimes we talk about taking the path of least resistance. Now that's a good application of physics. We have to watch in our own lives, and sometimes the path of least resistance is only for the short term. We took the easy way out, and we actually may have gone against our conscience. And we follow our conscience, we'll find that sometimes, yes, the outer self is challenging in the short term, but in the long term, it'll always be easier. And then we'll be truly on path of least resistance in a spiritual and inner way, and in the long term. Now, it's striking that the law of balance that we've often talked about is associated with the law of resistance too. And I noticed, for example, in the book I Saw Your Light, from far recently released by our beloved imperator, Claudio Mazzucca, he has some wonderful articles in there listing over the years that he did them. And there's one from November 2019, New Technology, where he talks about people that may be at a restaurant and they're looking down at these small electronic rectangular devices called cell phones and so forth, and they're fully engaged in their inner world on that, not really involved with sharing glances and holding hands or suggesting fine sentiments of emotion to each other. Again, one has to balance the proper use of the technology that Imperative Mazzucca talks about, but he also asks a poignant question where he says, how about a healthy bit of resistance to all this? And that's a good question for us all when we experience resistance. Sometimes there's a healthy amount of resistance is needed to do what's right. But also I want to culminate with resistance we experience within ourselves to the lessons of life, but sometimes even when we're trying to learn the lessons of life, we seem to have a certain resistance. And that's part of the law of resistance in a very deep way as well. And we may find that why is the life so circuitous, like we talked about? But from the time frame of the outer self, it may seem like that. From the time frame of the inner self, it's just a flash, just like when we have powerful mystical experiences. In a few seconds, we can take in more learning than formal learning over years. Both are important. And that resistance, in a way, is an inner testing. It's like the friction heating up. It tests our dedication. It tests our sincerity, our worthiness, and our preparedness. If things are not given easily, then we have a more fuller appreciation of what's been given to us. Our parents have often done that for us and not made things too easy. So when we have to do things more on our own, we don't feel that we're entitled or so privileged. Or in a way, we're owed nothing. And this is part of the law of resistance, to come into those degree of friction and that degree of inertia that we have to overcome and show our worthiness. And that we're ready and then we'll be fully appreciative and we know how to handle those higher levels of forces. Our autonomic nervous system is designed to take them, but our outer nature needs to learn to work with them. That's why in meditation, we talk about surrendering to the divine within. It knows how to guide us. And then the outer self, when it speaks to and works with the inner self, then we have a perfect working dual as ultimately a unity, which is truly ourself. We'll see then also we are prepared and we are sincere. And we've been tested, that the veil will lift, as our earlier Mazzucca has talked about. In this way, we'll be responsible and appreciative and know how to apply what we've seen. But it's important when we have the cosmic attunement to put it into application, to emulate it. As past imperator Ralph M. Lewis always emphasized to us. And we won't be overwhelmed when the veil is lifted. Just like the person coming out of Plato's cave was temporarily blinded, we won't be temporarily blinded. By being tested by the law of resistance, we'll be ready. We'll be able to handle it. And we'll know what to do. So at this time, before I conclude, I'll ask Karen to post in the chat for your resources for you, and also put them in there as a PDF document for you, which you may find the easiest to take down. And while that's happening, you're getting the resources if you wish them. I'll give my concluding statement. And I'll say again, often we wonder why nature seems to veil its laws and principles, and life seems to be so circuitous and cryptic in its meaning. With the knowledge and application, the law of resistance gives a whole new perspective on these matters. Our dedication, sincerity, worthiness, and preparedness are constantly tested through this law. And in this manner, we can be mature and be appreciative and responsible. And in cosmic attunement, the veil is lifted. So in this way, again, Fridays and Sorrows participants, we've explored Rosicrucian laws and principles and their application for self-mastery and service. And I thank you so much in all the things that you do in this manner.